Pistol Whip is almost not a rhythm game, really. I mean, music plays a big part in it, obviously, and it's what everything else is built on. But you can complete a Pistol Whip level without any adherence to standard rhythm game behaviors. Right? You can have the worst timing in the world, and as long as you don't get hit and shoot some guys, you'll end up with a score at the end.
When I first joined Cloudhead, I had to get good at pistol whip quickly. Some of the levels that I've tried out, I found that, for example, Revelations was a little bit difficult for me near the end, because there's a whole bunch of guys and the tempo changes, so you're playing through normally and then all of a sudden, oh my god, it's that, you know, big enemy moment, and so you have to go and survive against hundreds of guys, and as a new player you feel overwhelmed. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that you can quickly feel overwhelmed in the game, and the game is a bit about also managing, you know, enemies, bullets, and all that stuff.
We kind of went down a road of thinking about how to onboard people as quickly as possible, get them into an experience that kind of triggers their lizard brain, and gets them actively engaged in still that power fantasy kind of thing happening. You're part of a story, but it's happening on a very visceral kind of level.
People like to jump in straight into hard. Don't jump in straight into hard. It's pretty hard. You're also not gonna get the feeling of the game the same way. One of the really interesting things about Pistol Whip is that the actual level layout itself changes from difficulty to difficulty because we have different enemy placements. And so the actual geometry, the actual map itself changes slightly as you ramp up in difficulty. And so you kind of get more and more layers as you go. And so you learn the game better that way. But also, starting on easy means that you can focus on survival. This is something that we found really early on in playtesting, is that when players came in looking for a rhythm game, they were sometimes not getting exactly what they wanted because Pistol Whip isn't really a rhythm game, right? There's no line in the sand, so there's no hard set, you have to shoot now, like every other rhythm game in the world. So it really bucks that trend, and that confused a lot of people. So my advice is always to start with survival and just focus on getting through a level and then layer it on with rhythm as you learn to play the game.
Once you get past basic survival in Pistol Whip, you're looking to improve your score. Aiming accuracy is relatively straightforward. The closer you're pointed to the actual target, the better you do. The beat can maybe be a little more difficult for some people to interpret. We put a few cues into the environment that you can use to help you. There's a subtle pulse to a bunch of the environment, including the cubes that run along the floor in front of you. The enemies themselves will kind of pulse to the beat. That kind of thing, you can use that to line your timing up, get yourself synced up. There's also haptics that have there's a metronome pulse that'll be on the beat as well that you can enable in the options.
As you play the game, depending on the difficulty, you'll have a shield or amount of health that your character will have. Once you've been hit by a bullet or hit by another guy, you have to recover that amount of health, and you can do this by either shooting enemies or by pistol whipping someone. When you shoot enemies, it might take, you might have to do 5 or 6 shots in order to recover your health. But if you pistol whip someone, you'll recover all of that health automatically. So it's always good to, sometimes risky, but it's always good to try to pistol whip someone if you're in a tough spot.
Very few people recognize it until they've calmed down and they kind of get into a Zen flow state with the game and go, oh, this entire world is indicating to me that I should be hitting at these specific rhythmic pulsing beats.
Scoring in Pistol Whip is split up in 2 ways. Every time you shoot an enemy, you're going to get granted accuracy points and beat points. The beat point is binary. So when you shoot on beat, you get 100 points. If you shoot off beat, you get 0 points. On top of that, you get points from 0 to 99 or 0 to 100 for accuracy. And the accuracy is how close to the enemy you were, how much the aim assist helped you. You're always going to hit the guy, or almost always going to hit the enemy, but you won't always get full accuracy points because aim assist helped you more or less.
When you are playing the game, you'll notice that different icons and numbers will appear above an enemy's head after you've shot them. The red circle on the right side indicates that you were on the beat or not, and the red circle on the left side, it's got like a little bullseye and like symbol on there, refers to your accuracy. And so when you are on beat, you'll get a guaranteed 100 points, and if you're off beat, then you lose those 100 points. And if you're accurate, it can be a grade from 0 to 100. So in the end, if you're both accurate and on beat, you'll get 200 points.
One of the ones that I found was really helpful early on was enemies turning, especially on lower difficulties. Enemies will get into position, turn on the beat, and then shoot on the next beat. And so you can kind of gauge the beat by when they start turning, and so you can say, okay, this enemy's getting into position. Once he's about to fire you, that's actually your ideal beat. And so if you get into position, you turn, shoot, that's on beat.
What we do was basically focus on, if you were pointing at the guy and you feel like you should hit the guy, you hit the guy. And from there, it was just a matter of fudging numbers until it came up that way, so that most of the time you got what you were aiming at. But if that's not good enough, then you have Deadeye, and you can see just how hard it is to hit moving targets while you're moving with a pistol.
You don't actually get full points for pistol whipping, but you usually do because it's based on a velocity check. So if you do a good strike, you'll get full points. But if you do kind of like I'm not really trying, you won't get full points. That's something a lot of players don't really know. There's also some stuff that players don't really know, like we've got a rapid fire feature in. If you shoot an enemy on beat and then shoot another enemy really fast, it'll count as on beat even if it's not. So that way you can get like 8th notes and 16th note shots without having to worry about like being exactly on beat. And the other thing about our beat window, it's very generous. We've got an early window and a late window, and so anywhere in between there, you're on beat. And so most of the time you can feel the beat. If you're playing rhythmically and you think, okay, this should be on beat, bang, then you're probably going to get beat score for that.
Definitely stay hydrated. The time can go by really fast and you're working a lot harder than you think. Maybe limber up a little first. You know, ducking and bobbing and weaving, dodging bullets is hard. Just be good to yourself.